Hey, sixth graders, I'm going to try to multitask here and give you a repeat lesson or reteach lesson. Oh, while I cook dinner and try to get things done here. Hear background noise. That's family doing other things, so just ignore. Okay? Can we turn it down a little? Here it is. Okay, turning down that. I'm going to try to email or try to remind you tomorrow that those of you who went to volleyball really need to take the time to watch this reteach, because after you left, then we had the lesson. All right, so you really need to focus. I am going to put the PowerPoint presentation up on my teacher page as well. All right, now it's just the first few slides that you need to pay attention to, but you can get some good notes from those. I'll reiterate those notes in this lesson. We were talking about on Monday and Tuesday, we did diagramming, but of compound elements. On Wednesday and then today, we talked about how to finish our sentences. A sentence has to have a subject and a predicate and a complete thought, but sometimes, along with that subject and predicate, a portion of the sentence needs to be completed, needs more information to give it, to finish it off. All right, now this is a third portion of the sentence that not every sentence has to have, but some sentences do. All right, and this is called a sentence completion or a complement. Now, complement in this meaning is spelled C-O-M-P-L-E-M-E-N-T. It means to complete. If I showed the class my scarf that went with my jacket, so it completed the outfit. Okay, it complemented the outfit. It completed it. So when we talk sentence complements, what we're really saying is sentence completions. And we talked about two types today. One type of complement that completes the subject, and one complement that completes the predicate. Okay? The first one is a subject complement. Now, I said numerous things about the subject complement, about 4 things that I want you to remember. Okay, 4 things. First of all, a subject complement will always come after a linking verb. Okay, a verb that doesn't show any action. It links what's behind the verb to what's in front of it, the subject. So that's why it's called a subject complement, because what's behind the verb is linked to what's in front of the verb. Okay. One thing that we figured out in the lesson is that all complements, whether they complete the subject or they complete the predicate, they always come after the verb, no matter what kind of verb it is. So it will always go subject, predicate, completion. Subject, predicate, completion. Always. So you never look for a complement in front of a verb, even in a sentence that's in unnatural order. Won't happen. Okay? The complement always comes after the verb. Okay? So, a subject complement is follows a linking verb, and a subject complement will always be either a noun or pronoun, and if it's a noun or pronoun, it's called a predicate noun or predicate nominative. That means the same thing, okay? And that comes after a linking verb, or it could be a predicate adjective. Okay, let me give you an example of both in a sentence. I wrote on the board this sentence, Mrs. Hollenbeck is the teacher. Mrs. Hollenbeck is the teacher. Now, I like to use the equals method. If we were underlining that, we would underline the subject, Mrs. Hollenbeck, once, right? And our verb happens to be the linking verb is. We would underline that twice. Well, that looks just like an equals sign. So, we would say, Mrs. Hollenbeck equals what? What does she equal? What comes behind the verb that would equal Mrs. Hollenbeck? And the answer, of course, is teacher. Okay, and that's a noun, a predicate nominative, so it works, right? Mrs. Hollenbeck equals teacher. Some students on Wednesday did some really nice examples. We had JJ is a good football player. JJ equals player. There was one this afternoon, Samuel Feldman. Samuel Feldman is, and then one of the students gave a great example. I think it was Samuel Engraff said, funny. Samuel Feldman equals funny. Well, that's a good example. That gives us an example of a predicate adjective. If I was leaning back here in this comfy chair and dozing, you may say, Mrs. Hollenbeck is tired. Mrs. Hollenbeck equals tired. That works. My dog, I don't know if you can see my dog. Oh, there's my dog. My dog is lazy. Dog equals lazy. See how that works? And oh, let's see what else. No, that's good enough. Okay, so you get the linking verb one, or the subject complement. Everything that you find behind the linking verb will give you more information about the subject. It will complete the subject. Okay? So, make sure that the word that you choose, that you do the equals method, all right, to check your answer. Okay? I want to make sure that I remind you to look at your verb cheat sheet. Linking verbs, the color-coded paper I gave you, the verb cheat sheet, they're the gold and the blue. Okay? If they stand alone, all right, there's no, because they could be helpers too, but if they stand alone, they're definitely going to be linking. Some biggies are like is, are, am, being, have been. All right, those are all linking verbs. Okay? So, this week has been fast. Okay? This week or week equals fast. Okay? All right. Now there's another type of complement. It's called a predicate complement. Once again, it comes in the predicate portion after the verb. Just a second. I'll take you over and show you what I mean by this one. Okay, you could tour the ceiling of our house. The predicate complement comes after an action verb. All right, it comes after an action verb, and an action verb is something that you could see happening, okay? You could see it going on. So I'm going to show you how this one works. Mrs. Hollenbeck cooks dinner. Here's our dinner. Let me see if I can show you. I'm making, oh, there we go. There's my beginnings of my fried rice. There, the rice is almost done, and then I'll pour it in and put the chicken and the cabbage in. Yum. Anyway, Mrs. Hollenbeck cooks dinner. Now, we don't use the equals with this, all right, because my family is not, they are not cannibals. Mrs. Hollenbeck equals dinner? Ooh, I hope not. Of course not. You could see me doing this action, so I am completing the predicate portion of the sentence. So that's why this is called a predicate complement. I complete the predicate. I show you what the action is acting upon. I am cooking dinner, okay? Or fried rice. Now, the way I explained the equals method, let me just reiterate how you find the predicate complement. And by the way, the predicate complement is called the direct object. The way you can remember that is that the verb acts directly on this object. I cook dinner, all right? So that it's a direct object. I'm acting directly on that object, okay? Let me give you some other examples here. I cut up, earlier you could see that, I cut up cabbage. I cut cabbage, okay? And here's how you ask the questions. You say the subject, the predicate, and then ask the question what? Mrs. Hollenbeck cooks what? Dinner. Okay. Mrs. Hollenbeck cut up what? Cabbage. Okay. Mrs. Hollenbeck videotapes what? A class. Okay. So you always ask the question what after an action, and you'll get your answer if there is a direct object. Now, you have to make sure that it answers the question what. Okay. Mrs. Hollenbeck cooks in the kitchen. Kitchen? Mrs. Hollenbeck cooks kitchen? No. Nothing important is found in a prep phrase. Okay? Not even compliments. So don't be looking for compliments in a prep phrase. Nothing important is in a prep phrase. Make sure that it answers the question what. Okay? That is crucial. The 8th graders had a sentence. I'm trying to recall what it was. Oh, how about this one? I'll show you outside in our yard. Okay. The grass grows there. The grass grows what? There. That doesn't answer the question what. It answers the question where. All right? That cannot be a direct object. Direct objects can only be, oh, that's bad lighting. Direct objects can only be nouns. All right? Nouns or pronouns. Cannot answer the question where or how. Those are all adverb questions. No, just what. And sometimes it could answer who. What or who. Sometimes you might get, for instance, Mrs. Hollenbeck asked Jonathan to pass out the papers. Mrs. Hollenbeck asked, what or who? Jonathan. That's my direct object. That tells you who directly the verb acted upon. Jonathan. Okay? So, it's called a direct object, has to be a noun or a pronoun, and it'll follow an action verb. And the way to find it, subject, predicate, what, who? The students did what? Their assignment. Let me remind you what that is. And those of you who took off to Trinity Franktown, I hope your journey was a safe one. And the homework is page 66. The exercise there. There's 13 sentences. Do not write in your book. Okay? Fold your paper so that you have 3 columns, or draw 3 columns, not rows, columns. All right, 3 columns. The first column, label subject. The second column, label predicate. And the third column, you label complement. Okay? And every single sentence there, I believe, has one. I'll check tomorrow to make sure on that. But I believe they do. It's either going to be a subject complement or a predicate complement. Okay? Hold on a second. Let me check my bag. I bet you I could tell you right now because I brought the book home to make this. Let me take a look here. Okay, are you getting seasick watching me move around my house? Okay, 66, I'm looking. Every single one of them has a complement of some kind. Now, be careful. For example, number 2, these early parachutes were large rim-supported canvas umbrellas. We found out that the subject was parachutes. Our verb was were, and that's linking. Was and were, those are linking. So I said parachutes equals, or equal, well, the first person raised a large. No, because large and rib-supported canvas, all of those words describe umbrellas. Way at the end there. Okay? So parachutes actually equals umbrellas. Okay, make sure you go to the word, to the real complement, not the words that are supporting that complement. Go to the complement. Take a look at number number 10. Says the long flight was dangerous and lonely. Flight equals, because was linking verb, flight equals, we have 2, a compound complement, dangerous, lonely. Okay? This is going to be due either on Monday or Tuesday, depending on which class you're in. Okay? So if you are Monday, Wednesday, it's due on Monday. If you're Tuesday, Thursday, it's due on Tuesday. Okay? So make sure you, I want you to try every single one. Watch this again if you need to. Look over my notes pages that I'll attach to my teacher page. Okay? And then make sure you put stars by the ones you want to ask questions about. Okay? Alrighty, hope this helps, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now. Okay, bye now. I'm trying to turn this thing off.